Welcome back everyone, Oz here. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And once again, we've got r/entitled parents. Entitled mother gets knocked out from random woman for hitting her own child. Hi guys, I wanted to tell you my story of encountering an entitled parent. I was not a direct participant in the story, but everything happened before my eyes. EP is entitled parent, WG is wild girl. So I work in a bank, and if you also work in the banking sector, then you know how many crazy things are happening there, especially in post-Soviet countries. Oh god. One of the usual working days, we are trying to cope with a large flow of customers. No one likes to queue, but even more people do not like those who climb the queue. And here I serve the client and hear some noise in the hall. A woman with her small child swears at once with several people using a fairly stiff language. It turned out that she was trying to get through and people were very unhappy about it. After a brief quarrel and standard statements, "I'm a mother, you must let me without a queue. My child is sick," and so on, without having the desired effect, she roughly grabs her child and runs out into the street. I, having finished my work, decide to leave for a smoke, and as soon as I leave the building, I see how she beats her child right in the middle of the street. I usually do not interfere in other people's family affairs, but I just can't stand a child abuse, and I wanted to stop this horror. But at that moment, when I was approaching her, a wild girl appears, and this conversation happens. "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" Excuse me? I said. "What the fuck do you think you are doing hitting that kid?" This is my child?" This makes it even worse. "What kind of mother are you?" "Who the fuck do you think you are to talk to me like that, little bitch? This is my kid and I can hit him and do whatever I want. Now get lost, you." And at this moment, wild girl goes mental. She just grabs her and starts beating the shit out of EP. I swear guys, UFC ain't got no shit on women's street fighting. The girl lands one really heavy punch and EP just falls like a bag of shit. That was the first time I saw a real life KO. Wild girl then runs because I think she got scared of the consequences for this brilliant punch, and people are starting to gather around the wasted entitled parent. In about 10 minutes, the police come and start looking for the wild girl and ask witnesses about what happened. I unfortunately don't know the ending of this story because I had to go back to work, but I hope wild girl was fine in the end because, you know, violence is terrible of course, but sometimes you need to give people their own medicine. So, contrary to probably what you guys believe, I do read a lot of the comments, so I know what you guys say about these entitled parents. Oh, trust me, I know. And I know for a fact there are a lot of you who are really happy about the end result of this story. So, yeah. Oz Media does not encourage any violence against entitled parents. Please do not act upon any intuitions that you feel while listening to this video. Entitled dad at McDonald's makes an autistic worker feel overwhelmed over a minor inconvenience. So this happened over a year ago and I'll try to keep this short. Also, no promises this will be word for word because to be honest, I don't really remember a lot of specifics. Me equals me, duh. Mom equals my mom, ED equals entitled dad, and AG equals the super sweet awesome guy who this ED heckled for no reason. So my mom and I went to McDonald's to pick up some quick dinner, as people do. Also, this McDonald's has those table markers that you can pick up to have your food brought to you when it comes out. This will make sense in a bit. So we usually go through the drive-thru, but this is the one time we decide to go in just for the sake of it. So we walk in and the guy taking our order is slightly obviously autistic, which is no problem at all. He was a perfectly sweet dude and was very cool. Now, McDonald's is understaffed and very crowded at this point, so this dude is visibly feeling a bit on edge and overwhelmed. After about a minute, he's ready to take our orders, so we walk up and tell him what we want, but as I'm ordering, we hear, "Enter entitled dad." Entitled dad's sitting at a booth with his son. "Come on, hurry it up already, man. We've been waiting for at least 10 minutes. "Sir, I'll be with you in just a moment after I take this order." Awesome guy takes my order and it seems to be fine. He comes back in near tears and you could tell he was stressed. "I'm sorry, this happens sometimes at work." "Hun, take as long as you need, it's perfectly fine." Awesome guy thanks her and gives us a smile. So the dad and his son had picked up a table marker, meaning they were asking for their food to be delivered to said table. Awesome guy goes back to grab their food and starts to bring it to them. Entitled Dad, while AG is barely on his way over, gets up and speed walks towards this poor guy and just grabs the tray of food from him and shoots him a dirty look. Sir, you have a mark on your table, which means I should bring your food to you. I didn't mean to upset anybody. I'll grab my food when I want. I'm the customer here. Awesome Guy looks at my mom and I, clearly not knowing what to do or say. Don't worry about him. Stay focused. You can do this. Awesome Guy nods and goes back to taking orders. Fast forward a few minutes and our food is ready. We order to go, so we say bye to Awesome Guy on the way out and thank him. Now, Entitled's dad booth is right by the door, so as we're walking, we hear him say some shit about how restaurants shouldn't allow downies, go f yourself, to work if they're going to cause issues. Literally, this dude had to wait a bit longer than normal for his food. No biggie, so I turn around and confront this dude. Hey man, cut him some slack, it's busy and they're understaffed tonight. Entitled Dad literally ignores me and gives my mom and I the finger. Nice example you're setting for your kid. Entitled Dad looks away and goes back to eating. We walk out a bit mad, but happy Awesome Guy ended up being okay. Honestly, I don't get why some people have such short patience. Like 10 minutes is not a long time, and while it can be frustrating, it's no reason to heckle someone like that. This one kind of like messes with me on a personal level because one of my friends is actually mildly autistic and works at a Wendy's. So this guy can go freaking jump in a wood chipper. Entitled Parent won't let me sit at the front of my mother's funeral. Story happened a few months ago, so the dialogue will not be the exact same. This would have been my second funeral, the first being my father's 2 years ago when I was 12. Let's just say I do not know anything about funerals, and I'm not Christian or Catholic, so I know nothing of the traditional type. According to burialplanning.com, funeral seating guidelines at many funerals, relatives of the deceased sit on the right side, friends, acquaintances, co-workers, and others typically sit on the left. The front rows are reserved for close relatives. Anyway, here's the story. I had just arrived at my mother's funeral. Well, it wasn't that time yet. It was an hour or two before it should have started. My aunt, my legal guardian, helped me set up flowers and pictures of my mom while she made sure chairs were in order. We had decided on a small outdoor funeral that had no workers, just guests. We had the wake earlier, so that was in order. My uncle, blind since birth, was there for emotional support for me and my aunt, rather than helping with adjusting things. There were maybe around 20 to 30 seats, keeping it small on purpose. There are an exact number of seats, with no guests canceling yet. Fast forward to the actual funeral. It was very quiet with only small murmurs and sobs. It was held in a park near a lake that my mother and her parents used to go to fish. The park was a place for reservations, so there were no other people in the general area, besides the barbecue area a far amount away. So you get the idea of how quiet it was. Out of nowhere, we hear a loud engine of a car. The car parks in the parking lot not too far from us. It was a white Subaru with Fortnite bumper stickers all over the back. This doesn't have anything to do with the story, just wanted to add a comedic break. A lady, the entitled mother, walks out of the car with her 3 kids, one of which was a crying infant in her stroller. This story isn't about the kids, who were angels, the baby was adorable and I didn't mind her crying. I looked over at the woman and stared confused at my aunt and older cousin. I think that's your mom's friend, entitled mother, my aunt whispers. My cousin and her boyfriend stared at the lady's small soccer jersey, which showed her bare stomach. She walks over to the very front of the seats. She looks surprised, for some strange reason, that 4 empty seats aren't at the front. There are 4 to 5 empty seats at the mid-back left side. I wipe my face of tears and try to smile at her. Hi, are you my mom's friend? Yes, I am. Who are you and why are you sitting at the front of my best friend's wake? 1, how does she not know who I am? I'm my parents' only child. 2, this lady was not my mom's best friend. If she was, I would have definitely met her. 3, this is not a wake. Can I talk to you for a second? Asked my cousin's boyfriend. He pulls entitled mother aside and has her 2 older kids stand at my side. While the other guests chat confused for a few minutes, I talk to entitled mother's kids. There was supposed to be some talking at the front, of course, and it was held back. We have seats over there for you and your kids. There's no more room at the front, which is relatives only. I heard my cousin say to entitled mother. Entitled mother nodded and walked back to her kids. Who are you anyway? She asked me. I begin to talk, but she then readjusts her baby and holds her differently, then begins to talk to her other 2 kids. You can sit over there, she says to her kids, pointing to empty seats. I'll sit in her spot. She then points to me. Uncle, can you start the speech? I plead, hoping for something to happen before I completely engross my time into this woman. He agrees and goes up to the very front of the coffin. Talk to my non-blind uncle just for context. Can you get up? Asked entitled mother. "Why can't you go sit back there?" asked my aunt before I could even answer. "If you keep acting like this, entitled mother, you'll have to leave." "Why do you have to sit at the front? I bet you aren't even a relative, maybe a niece at most. I was, my mom's, best friend, and I should sit up there. Why should I sit in the back? That's like for her co-workers," entitled mother said, crossing her arms. Her kids visibly tensed and sent apologetic glares over at me and my family. "She's her daughter," my aunt whisper yelled. Entitled mother's eyes widened and her mouth hung slightly open. She grabbed her kids' arms and yanked them to the back seats. Although this was so much of a scene, we didn't want to make it a bigger one by following entitled mother and making her leave. "Your mother wouldn't have wanted any confrontation," is what my aunt said. My uncle went on with his speech and then called me up, since I was the closest family. During my entire talk, which was long I have to say, entitled mother sent me the stink eye. Thank you for making it this far. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.